Friendly greetings! You're joining me here, Torley. I'm looking right up at you. Eye contact, right? Well, I just really wanted to keep this casual and fun. I discovered a better angle because I know some of you said it's sort of hard to see me playing. My body's blocking that. So diagonals suggest motion. We'll see how that goes, all right? I just wanted to talk a little bit. Sometimes ideas bubble up, and I do like to share, both for your entertainment, your education, your enlightenment, but also for my own fulfillment of in the future when I look back, just like with the project preset videos, it's a historical archive. And so here's another torrant from me about creativity and how, and other questions and answers about what I do. One of my favorite comments and questions that I received is that when I'm playing passages, whether it's showing off project preset, various synthesizer sounds, whatevs, that my commentary, if I don't say anything, it's boring. And I'm so overjoyed to hear that. So I find that talking to me is a lot more natural than writing it. And if you care to transcribe this, if someone wants to do that, that'd be lovely too. But it just flows out when thought connects to another. So first off, I have been, if you're on torley.com, my homepage on the internets, something happened with Facebook. It's not embedding the rich content there anymore. But if you just go and head over to my Facebook page. We're on Dream Journal 3. Lovely album art by my wife. You can see a bigger view of it right there. Thanks, everyone, each and everyone, for the comments. And so what I'm doing is posting new tracks. So it's a different format. Unlike the previous Dream Journals, I'm going to unveil these relics that I've discovered. I've imported them from alternate times and spaces, and I'm going to be showing them off to you one at a time. So, for example, can we just go this part here? So you can go ahead and listen to it for yourself and enjoy, and there's a little download link there. Collect them all, and when we have the whole collection, yes indeed, I will be bundling them up as an album for your convenience, just like the previous ones. Glitch Piano, as well as the OMG Amplify for a good cause. If you want to go ahead, buy links are right there. Share with your friends and loved ones. And Dream Journal 2. So yes, this is Dream Journal 3. Lots and lots, oodles and tons of melody guaranteed. Go ahead and check me out, and if you like me, like me. That's deliciously redundant. Now, what I also wanted to talk to you about, before I get to that, you can directly go to my SoundCloud and follow. This is like all the social media presence. You can follow me here as well if you want to be updated without all the Facebook Chrome, because I know some of ye ain't into that. But right now, just 2 tracks, but we'll be having, this is from the previous Glitch Piano set, we'll have more, as indicated by the album art by my lovely wife. So, today, wanted to talk about gear. Get a lot of very, very well-intentioned questions asking, what do you use? But it ends right there, and I want to indulge your curiosity further, because you may have seen on a lot of threads, I frequent KVR, I browse a lot of information. KVRaudio.com is one of them. Let me paste these URLs, or just type them in to show you. That's the best way. KVR, I am often browsing the forums here and learning from those far wiser than I. I'm on a fool's errand through the Omniverse. And I also go to the Ableton forums. Ableton Live 64-bit beta is out. I am so excited. So I'm also on the forums here, and I often see the same questions about asking, what does so-and-so use? How did they get that sound? And the curiosity, unfortunately, often ends there. Whereas I view it as a curiosity to get to the next place. So I asked, what do you use? How do you use it? But before all that, just like a good comic book origin story is Stan Lee, like bounce into action. How did you come to choose that in the first place? So I'm going to tell you the story. A number of you have asked me to reveal this. I'm going to want to share these stories of how I chose these two keyboard controllers, as well as the third thing, my headphones. Some of you ask about these. And so this one was the first one on the bottom. And we have this in this handy, like I'm giving a business presentation. I'm all serious. Boo boo. This has been out quite a few years. I think, what, 5, 6, more than that? I got it something like $150 at the time because eBay was doing this great thing of 25% off coupon, and it was $200 on eBay, and I love to browse eBay and the refurbished areas, although this was new. And so I picked it simply because it is, and I think it still is, the only semi-weighted 88-key controller that's light like this. And so I came from a piano background. I love to have the whole range, but something, although yes, hammer action is nice. I've played with many, many keyboards like that before. The problem is one of weight and moving around. I like to be a minimalist that way. I may be maximalist with melody, but I'm very much minimalist when it comes to picking. So I looked around. Price is certainly important. Budget. We can create so many amazing things even with a laptop now. And I still keep that resourcing in mind. So price, certainly one. And the feel, I didn't have a chance to feel this beforehand. Thankfully, it's turned out all right. And so I got it, and it was as light as I expected. Of course, it doesn't have any knobs. Now, this is where, like husband and wife, or husband and husband, or wife and myriad alien race combinations, you need a pairing, you need a complement. Knobs. Now, mind you, this is a simplified, what I'm telling you is an abridged version of the story, because along the way I played with other controllers. You may remember earlier blog entries and things like that. I had a Korg Nano controller for the Nano. What was the one? It had knobs in any case, but this, I just used knobs and sliders, and it both has the continuous one and the ones with a finite ending. So rotaries there, and the sliders go up and down. And consider this as well. It has a touch pad for controlling different MIDI modulations to make sounds brighter or transform them. I love morphing. And as well, another difference is right here, we have the joystick like that, whereas this is a separate pitch wheel and mod wheel. So again, different approaches to the same problem, because this would control the pitch if I wobble it to the side, and sometimes I like this depending on the technique. This is semi-weighted as well, although it has aftertouch, meaning if I press a key, I can press it down further to further articulate a sound, which is unique to synthesizers. You won't find that in an acoustic piano. Here we have an Eigenhardt Pico, and it's a cool thing. It matches the decor. I haven't used it as much as I like, though, and it does have a ribbon controller. But I find, for example, that the OMG back there, I don't think you could see that from this angle, but I would love to have something like this, but with a ribbon controller, and it blows my mind that ribbon controllers aren't more accessible, because this is not new either. This was, I think, $450 when I got it. So a smaller keyboard, but because of all the additional mechanics there. The newest one, I think, is the Impulse, but I didn't feel compelled to change this because I looked at it and I said, it looks a lot of the same thing. The integration seems like it might be better, but with Ableton Live, I don't have those problems. And I picked Ableton Live. I can go into another story about this much, much deeper later time. I picked it because I felt after trying the demo, it's a lot of fun to just have that minimalist, again, workflow, and how the UI is very simple, which contrasts with the user interface of a lot of these soft synths, where I love seeing something very rich. Something like one of my time favorite traditions would be in Synthplant. Hasn't been updated in a while. Still great, though. Would like to have a 64-bit version to go with the 64-bit Ableton Live beta. But you can grow sounds. And again, see, it looks very fascinating compared to Ableton Live. I wonder who else actually, if you use Ableton Live's Oak interface, you got to post in the comments, because I don't really see a lot of other people use it. A lot of people stick with the default gunmetal and things of that nature. This is handy. I can just pull this up here. Wonders of the internet. But I like the oak one, which is kind of brown. I've always used that since the beginning. It just feels warm against the silver. So again, these kinds of contrasts. Now the third thing, before I get to that, let me just explain as well. This is a great site. If you're on Amazon, use this. Use this to track prices, including refurbished ones. It came really, really great and handy with these headphones. And yes, I have, a bit hard to see there, I have 3 pairs of these. Lesson learned. These are the kinds of things. So you ask me, what do you use? And I'm telling you, and you can see how it unspools onto myriad choices. Why did I pick these headphones? Why? So there is a pair that is superior rated to those overall. I think it's the Audio-Technica, is it the M50s? Are the M50s? ATH M50s, which are also on Amazon. And they have sterling ratings. Sterling ratings, almost perfect 5 stars there. Huge, huge. And they are the favorites of many. Now, consider that I am partially hearing impaired. I don't hear the frequency, the whole spectrum, well at all. I hear parts of it that are sort of muffled. So in some respects, I found this particular model very sharp when I got it, and the bass wasn't as warm as I want it to be. So I looked around, and this replaces, by this I mean these, MDR XB700s, replaces an older pair of headphones, which were also Sony, which are no longer being made. Now, we get to the Sony, what was it now? The MDR, it was V900s. Now, the only way when you search now is the 900 HD, which I tried. It did not sound like the original 900s. It sounded tinny and shrill. It sucked. I didn't like it whatsoever. I like my original 900s. The cool thing, though, is this has a sound signature like the 900s, but with beefier bass. These Princess Leia ear cups are nice and matter of comfort, and the sound is great. The mid-range is clear, that I find. Always keep in mind I have hyperacusis and tinnitus, or tinnitus to some of you. And the trebles are crisp without being shrill. So a great sound profile overall. And that's how I decided on that. I think on my Pinterest site as well, social media, ain't it grand? I was clipping, I have an R&D board for different profiles of things I'm studying. One of them happened to be on Headroom. You can build this profile response. And I thought this was very, very useful. I could compare them and see the XB700. Oh, okay, looks like it's got this meaty bass here around, what is that, leading up to the 1000 hertz or so. And below this, oh, it's got a nice, without being overstated. I also tried the XB500s, by the way. They're slightly smaller, but I found them too boomy and too muffled. So right here, the red line represents that. And I rave with excitement. I cannot contain my excitement about something which is excellent, awesome. Amplify the awesome. And here's, by the way, this is funny. This is an exact chart of when I was tracking the price for these beloved Sony MDR XB700s. I should sell them on the Home Shopping Network because they were out of stock for several months, and I was, oh no, what if they never come back? What if they're discontinued as well? Thankfully, they did come back in stock at a very high price, much higher than originally, where they were often sub 100, as you can see. So now I had to go and get 3 pairs. I got one from eBay, and I got one refurbished on Amazon, because right here, it's very useful. If you check refurbished, and you have to consider it with the shipping as well. So when it's a good, would be under $75, a great value. So there you go, price, the comfort, and the sound, which is true of these two. Well, except for sound, they don't make sound of their own, but certainly the price and the comfort. And they're both semi-weighted. This has slightly lighter action. Those are the stories right there that led me to make those choices. And then let me walk off on a little side road. It's still related to the main hub, but I would like to talk about these kind of discussions, how they're very circular. If you're on the internet, electronic dance is an optional thing here. So in parentheses, electronic music forums online, you often see people get into the same spun up about what do you want to sound like so-and-so, and they get all up in a tizzy, and there's a lot of misjudging of intentions. And I like to say you can destroy misunderstandings by asking questions. Be curious to clarify your intents. Then you help each other. It's a community, despite what misgivings some genres will have against others, scenesters and the like. So it's funny because when people get into those threads of what do you use, and someone will almost invariably, you could have a drinking game. I don't drink alcohol, substances. They make my ears burn red and fire pops out and smoke too. But if you ever see one of those threads, count on someone saying, oh, a great musician can make cool stuff out of sticks and stones. It's not about the gear, which is a lie. It is an utter lie and a complete falsehood. Yes, it is about the gear. It is about the musician collaborating with whoever makes the hardware and software, whoever designs the sounds. This is all part of an entire musical ecosystem. And to say it's not important, yeah, sure. Take all your synthesizers and computers away, throw you on the force. Let's see you have some fun with those sticks and stones. So being more of an and person than an or person, I definitely love to include that whole continuous call and response where you can talk to the creators, someone great who makes a soft synth, for instance, and suggest features, and they make it more usable and fun for you, the musician, which in turn helps you benefit your listening audience. They may not care about the nitty-gritty about what goes on, although I think in electronic music, and today with more awareness and with music making really demystified, there are more listeners who are apt to remix, which is awesome, to play and evolve into doing composition for themselves. So I think these questions, what the heck? I thought I saw was it reload? Oh, I thought I saw the Blade Runner font on that last one. Anyway, I'll just tab out of these. So it does matter. It does matter that you, especially if you're new and not sure what to ask, sure, ask some questions that maybe a hardened vet will discount you for, but screw them. Having the most important thing is, even if you've done this for 2 decades, more than that, I'm almost, wow, my musical involvement's almost 3 decades onwards now. To always have a wide-eyed curiosity, to ask questions, to test any assumptions, any superstitions you may have had, and continue evaluating and checking on things, and to choose things because they work for you. It helps if someone who has a similar workflow, if it works for them too. But the danger I find in me recommending anything without placing it in context is precisely because most other musicians who I've got together with and I've corresponded with online, they do not work like I do, which is fair to say. Everyone works uniquely. But in my particular case, I have a hearing impairment. I have certain preferences which are definitely not common. And some things out there, Ableton Live is very common, but some of the ways in which I use it are fairly esoteric. And so it's a very dangerous thing for me to presume I know someone else's psychological profile and their user interface workflow and how they're going to bond all this stuff together. Because there are going to be people, I'm not one of them, who love handling big modulars with all the cable. I find that disgustingly messy. I love the sounds that come out of them. I admire people that have those workflows that I don't, but it's not something I would pick, and that's why I can't recommend it. However, it's not to say at all that that would be an analog modular is a bad piece of equipment, because it's part of the history as well. And I have a great reverence for that and all our forefathers, just like we wouldn't have all the VSTs and soft synth development we do today without the earlier developments of our forefathers. I want to also, let's see, who was in Mono Lake again? Robert Henke, that's right. one of the co-creators of Ableton Live. If you are looking for some great reading as to insights from a really inspirational guy on why he picked certain pieces of gear and the value of why he continues to keep vintage synthesizers, even though he doesn't really use them, you've got to check out his page. Go and check out his interviews. And there is also a really great link to his studio somewhere here. I forget exactly where it is. Maybe if I just shortcut it, we'll see if that works. There we go. It ain't that grand, but this was a great article. I love reading stuff like this and then thinking, how do I apply this practically to my workflow? And so this is why, yes, I can say what I love. I cannot make a personal recommendation for anyone else unless I have worked with you side by side for years. And I think that does point to another thing that's very dear to my heart. It's that it's human to want results very quickly. And there are tools which greatly speed up a lot of the unnecessary processes. So there's no need to make it extraordinarily difficult for yourself. At the same time, though, there are things which only time-tested patience will wear through. And you need to remember that it's difficult because you want results now. You want, whatever your motives may be, listeners, money, the whole sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing. But you ask yourself for why you're in it. And just like the equipment and why I've chosen it might be very different from what you come up with, the same thing with intentions. And ultimately, regardless of what anyone else says, the music, the craft, it must be in line with your original intentions. If you're getting too off course, if you're compromising, in your view, your art for money, that hurts you. But if you came in with the understanding that it's the music business, then that's your intention. It's consistent with that. And I think that helps a lot with having a sense of inner peace. Not necessarily just in a Zen Buddhist way, but in focusing on your goals. So there I can run a wild train with some words. But this is precisely why when I have a question like that, I have to consider the deeper implications of why you might be asking that. And certainly you can make music quickly. I value that. At the same time, continuing to make many things quickly, or if at your pace, slowly, or somewhere in between over the long run, that is what will show your patience to develop and learn and grow through these new experiences. There is a quote. Is it 10,000 hours to be an expert? I know it's been cited by Malcolm Gladwell. There's a lot of these anecdotes and things of that nature. I'll leave this with you before I close for today, my sermon. But talks about how 10,000 quality hours, that sentence right there, to expertise, 10,000 hours, approximately 10 years. And the ability to distinguish that quality time from repeatedly banging your head and not playing with new environments. And that is precisely why in this electronic age, it's very difficult. You upgrade your synths and then the operating system changes and it breaks a bunch of stuff, or the 64-bit thing comes and you got to migrate to that. And it makes it tough to actually focus on making the music. For some people, for example, the sound designing and the music making is very different. It's horizontal versus vertical, and you need to find a separate space. For other people, you need to do that together, or the sound design itself becomes the melodies. You don't shape them in an external editor. You can do it in an integrated process like that. That's very fascinating. But at the same time, I think being able to distinguish for yourself and ultimately, for me, recognize that a lot of it doesn't come down to words you can describe, because people will have different interpretations and meanings and cultural contexts and semantics about those words. Ultimately, it is going to be channeled through the music itself.